Isn't there something about Singaporeans, the fact that, in a short 50 years, we've gone from a lot of more kampong kind of lifestyle to urban city. So the changing of the habits also takes quite a while, right?
No lah, you have been gaslighted too much. You see, they brainwash you until you are now thinking like that, right? Our behavior, we are bad, we are kampong, we are bad, we are bad, we are bad. Who told you are bad?
I look at...
Before the next episode of the Yalabat podcast, here's a message about Tell You First, our latest series. Now, you clearly love podcasts. And you're also clearly smart. I mean, you're listening to this, right? So if you want something else that is as entertaining, educational, and edgy, check out Tell You First, our new podcast series. In every episode, Terrence and I dive into mind-blowing topics you never knew you needed to know, with a touch of good old humor and that Singaporean flavor. But only one of us knows the details, while the other is clueless. Perfect for comedy and learning, of course. So go ahead and click on the link in our bio or search for the Tell You First podcast on the Me Listen app, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
But today we're not going to be talking about like something very current or right now. Because
it's humorous, still humorous.
Yeah, it's humorous. It's humorous.
Toilet humor.
Yeah. But it's been like in the news at various times over the past almost like 20 plus years. And today with us, we have none other than the founder of the World Toilet Organization, Mr. Jack Sim. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's good to be at the show.
Yeah. Do you listen to podcasts regularly?
Various lah.
Oh, various.
Yeah. Sometimes they are very long, so you have to have time.
You watch
which
double
time
speed?
Of the day.
Double speed? Do you ever listen to double speed?
No.
You like the speed of the natural speed?
Yeah, of course.
I see. So I mean, you are the founder of the World Toilet Organization, but you've led a very interesting life. But at this point in time, like what's keeping you busy?
Right now, I have to start thinking to reinvent myself again because I've started as a school failure and then a businessman. Let's say moderately successful with 16 different companies. And then a social entrepreneur, which I would think is more successful than the business part of the life. And I'm now 67. So just before coming in, I checked my countdown till 80th birthday. I have 4,570 days before I die on my 80th birthday. So I think it's pretty precious. And going forward, I do a lot of honeymoon with my wife. I think around this time is the best for romancing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, but sorry, just to go back, you're saying 80th birthday, the countdown to 80th birthday when you die. What do you mean? But 80 is still a very young age for...
Yeah, the life expectancy in Singapore is 80 plus, right?
Yeah. 80 plus, like man is 81 point something and woman is 84 something, right?
Yeah.
And if you take away the last 1 point something years, which is very frail and sick and lying on the bed with ulcer, cancer, arthritis, dementia, I mean, 80 is a very ambitious date.
So let's say
I'm very useful until 80.
So, but then once you turn 80, like, are you like, okay, you know what? I'm
going to die? No.
You will still carry on?
Of course, that's the bonus time. But you have to budget your life. Because you're all going to die. You're also going to die. And if you don't budget, you don't treasure, you don't cherish, then you waste time, playing wukong or watching TV got worried about the dramatized actor, whether he got cheated or whatever. That's none of your business.
So you don't see any value in watching like a very good show that touches your heart, makes you laugh, makes you cry,
think about things.
It's a good story.
Once a while. But anything that don't add to knowledge, mental stimulation in terms of intellectual stimulation is a bit boring. So I try to learn something that I don't know.
So when did that realization come through? Because you said earlier that you were a failed student, like I'm guessing at that point in time, like how did you think of studies, or did you think like when you were young, were you like, oh, school is a waste of time?
No, I was socialized into thinking that school is very important. But I was ADHD, I don't even know I was ADHD until 60 years old. So I was talkative, overactive, and the teacher always sent me to stand outside because I'm disturbing the class, right? And in secondary school, it's the same. And in primary school, in fact, I go for public caning on stage by the principal every month, So the good thing is that I don't have stage fright after that, lah. And also, I realized that if you don't have a university degree, then the best thing to do is to do business. Because you don't need a degree. You can employ people who has degree, right?
Yeah.
So I started businesses and it turns out quite well. So was lucky lah.
I mean, actually for young millennials, old millennials, our age, Harish and my age, we've heard your name, come up many times in the last 25 years. We've heard about World Toilet Organization, World Toilet Day. So generally, we all, I would say, quite familiar with it, right? But there's a whole generation of young people now, Gen Zs and all, who maybe unless they go to Wikipedia and look up World Toilet Organization, they might not know that a Singaporean man actually started it, right? So how do you introduce yourself to young Singaporeans these days who might not know of who you are immediately?
I think if they go to ChatGPT or WhatsApp, Meta AI, they just type who is the number one advocate for sanitation in the world, then they will pop up Jacksim, Mr. Toilet lah. So I think that's a very good validation, better than to Google nowadays, right? But I think basically my work after 40, I retired at 40 from business, and I've been working for free for the last 27 years as Mr. Toilet.
Yeah.
So we went to, at first I was trying to clean up the toilet in Singapore. So we managed to clean up most of it. The shopping center were at first quite dirty. And then I told them, you're losing a lot of business. You clean up and the people will stay longer and all the impulse buying will come. So they straight away understand, kaching, make money, clean toilet, right? Then I went to the school to tell the principal that, if you have smelly toilet, the kids can't concentrate, the grades might not be so good, they don't understand. So you have to frame all your narrative according to the incentive of each of the audience and the stakeholder. Then I went to India to excite the politician that you can actually promise people toilet, build toilet and win elections. And eventually this became the case and they all compete and promise people toilet. So 2007, we have World Toilet Summit with President Abdul Kalam of India and the Crown Prince of the Netherlands. And from there on, it led to the Minister Jairam Ramesh from Congress Party promising people toilet, and then Modi promised everyone toilet. So they built 110 million toilet eventually. So I think that the ability to motivate politician or school or shopping center owner is all about framing narrative that develop the incentive for them. Of course, we add a lot of media support with the storytelling. So I think that's the way to change the world.
So that means now World Toilet Organization, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's advocating clean toilets, sanitation, hygiene.
Not just clean toilet. A lot of people don't have toilet.
Okay.
So for example, when we first started in India, 600 million people were defecating openly. That means they're shitting along the river, along the railway track. So that is now changed. And also clean toilet in China in 2004 when they were preparing for the Beijing Olympics. The toilet was horrible. When you go for tour in China, the tourist guide will lend you umbrella so that you can poop behind the umbrella rather than go into a public toilet, because the public toilet is even dirtier than open air.
Yeah.
So when they were preparing for the Beijing Olympic, they were very worried. So we hosted World Toilet Summit with the Beijing Tourism Board and the Beijing municipality. And eventually they cleaned up the entire Beijing, and 2004 Olympics was a success with Zhang Yimou and all these people. Nobody talks about dirty toilet. That means it's good, right? Then every other city copied the model, and today, 20 years later, every public toilet in China is clean. In major city, I go to Chongqing, I go to Tibet recently, I go to Xi'an, then of course, Shenzhen and Guangzhou and Beijing and Shanghai, they're all clean. And sadly, having the ability to change toilet cleanliness in China, 1.4 billion people, I'm unable to convince coffee shop owner in Singapore to keep their toilet clean. And I think for the next 100 years, it will never be clean. Because the coffee shop owner told me that if I clean it, a lot of people will use. Then I will have to pay a lot of water bills. If I keep it dirty, that's public knowledge. Everybody in Singapore know coffee shop toilet is dirty.
You have heard people say that?
The owner tell me that.
You have heard the owner say that?
Yes. And then they say, if I don't clean, I save the cleaning costs. And it doesn't affect my business because everybody still come here to eat. They just don't want to use my toilet, which is like a really great thing for me.
Yeah.
If I keep it clean, I'm going to spend $2,000 per month. And this coffee shop owner, they might own 20, 30 coffee shop.
Yeah.
And each coffee shop is worth like $20 to $40 million. So these are huge, wealthy people. I cannot convince them. So I don't think the government is also there to go and shake them because they're so powerful. So it will be dirty like that forever.
But why do you think that is? Like, if I'm sure you have thought about this. What is it about them? What is it about Singapore's culture? What is it about our upbringing? What is it about everything that we have been socialized to think that you think has led to that?
I mean, the government over the last 30 years have been teaching us that it was our fault, that it was we who dirty the toilet and not the coffee shop owner who don't want to clean the toilet. So we then start to believe that it is us who dirty the toilet.
Oh, you mean with the signs and like...
Yeah, they keep on telling you, behave yourself as if even when no one is looking, please behave yourself. As if like, they're gaslighting us. So basically the government doesn't want to talk to the coffee shop owner, right? They're scared of them, they're so wealthy.
Business, yeah.
So then they want to say, oh, in that case, you're going to blame me, so I better blame you first, right? So what happened over the last 30 years is you see all this poster in the toilet. It's all bullshit. It's telling you that you, the Singaporean, are the one dirtying the toilet.
I never thought that every time I pee in a coffee shop, I'm being gaslit. Yeah. But that's a very good point.
So now I ask them, right? I asked the NEA, right? Why is it that the shopping center toilet are clean and the coffee shop toilet are dirty? And it's the same people. It's all the same Singaporean going to both places. And if you say our behavior is very bad, then how come the shopping center is clean? Then they say, come on, the shopping center have cleaners. So I said, then why don't the coffee shop toilet have cleaners? He said, come on, the coffee shop toilet is dirty by the user. Can you understand? I said, I cannot understand. I cannot understand, but they can understand. So I'm a little bit like, I'm the crazy one. So I think that they have been avoiding it. And it's very interesting. They're also telling me that that we cannot employ armies of cleaners. Because if we have cleaner for the coffee shop toilet, then, we will have to employ a lot of people to clean. So they come up with this term called Singapore is not a clean city, but a cleaner city. And then again, they blame the user. The interesting thing is that if you go to those hawker centers that are operated by NEA.
Mm.
They employ professional cleaner like Newton Circus. They are clean.
Yeah.
But those town council one are still dirty. So if NEA say we cannot employ army of cleaner, then how come you employ professional cleaner? Then they say, of course we don't want to have complaint. So you understand the conversation is very strange.
Yeah.
Even the MRT toilets are surprisingly dirty sometimes.
The MRT toilet nature is like that. So I spoke to SMRT. I didn't speak to SPS, but I spoke to SMRT. Now the budget for cleaning is by the SMRT. But the budget for renovation is by the LTA. The LTA refused to renovate. So the SMRT cannot keep it clean because at a certain age, you need to renovate. The toilet, public toilet are very heavy duty. At some point, you can't just go and beat a dead horse. You have to renovate. So LTA try to save money, don't release money to SMRT. So then the current stalemate dirty. So when the public complain, then LTA will take notice. But the public tend to complain and grumble privately, but they don't write. So the NEA also say not so many people write to me. So I think not a big problem. But I think the public is not happy.
But isn't there something about Singaporeans, the fact that, in a short 50 years, we've gone from a lot of more kampong kind of lifestyle to urban city. So the changing of the habits also takes quite a while, right?
No, you have been gaslighted too much. You see, they brainwash you until you are now thinking like that, right? Our behavior, we are bad, we are kampong, we are bad, we are bad, we are bad. Who told you you are bad?
No, I look at, say like trade returns, for example, right? We've historically had a very bad reputation about how not returning trays, not cleaning after ourselves. Then they introduce a law and, they fine people and everything changed overnight just because people are being fined.
I think that's very effective.
Yeah.
And when I was a child, we were told that if you do littering, you get fined. And then we don't litter, right? If we have a litter, we put in our pocket until we got a dustbin. So my age group, we don't litter. And then the NEA says we don't like to fine anymore. So now you get littering. Return tray, that decision was very good. And I think thanks to this, we have the habit of return tray. Now I see people cleaning up the table also, So I think habits have improved, right? Now, can you find the person who litter in the toilet? The answer is no, because you don't have camera. So let's, in all practicality, say that you need a cleaner. Because the reality is that you can't find the user, but you can find the owner. And the owner, if some of the toilet you go and see, the dirt is so thick, it haven't been scrubbed for 3 months. And so I think you go to see their soap, it's diluted until it's not soapy, So they, 5 cents also they want to save, So I think that the fault of the coffee shop owner, the moment you find them, you will find that it will be as good as the shopping center. Therefore, please do not mix the tray return or the littering and the toilet. They are 3 separate projects. And they have different nature. And I think that we got to bring back the fines, find the coffee shop owner, find the litterer, and of course now you don't have to find the tray return because habit has changed.
No, that's a good point. I think it's very different kind of behaviors that you need to try
don't
to
lump
police
them
that.
together.
Darren. So all your whole life you'll be lumping all that together.
I've been guessing it.
But you always keep on saying that Singaporean are bad. Then I ask you, when you go to a toilet, what do? You deposit dirt into the toilet. Are you dirtying the toilet? Of course you are dirtying the toilet. You are urinating to the toilet. You are depositing your shit in the toilet. Okay?
Yeah.
So you are dirtying the toilet because of the natural digestive process. Now, once a while you have a diarrhea, which nobody can predict. And then we have this ultra low flush, and the water cannot clean up the top layer of the rim, right? And then you say, oh, that is because, somebody misbehaved. In a lot of countries like Germany and Northern Europe, there's a toilet brush in the toilet. And in Singapore, there's no toilet brush. If there's a toilet brush, the person could clean up, right? So we asked, how come you don't have toilet brush? And the owner said, no, people will steal the toilet brush. I said, come on, steal a used toilet brush? $1, please. Why the owner thinks this way? That's wrong.
So I mean, like, I'm just curious. You grew up your whole life in Singapore, and you were very successful with your businesses to the point you can retire at 40. But what made you so interested in toilets and sanitation and hygiene?
Actually, it was by accident. Because I was 40, I got financial independence. I sold all my businesses, and I can retire. I bought some houses, collect rent. And the reason is that I think that a person lived till 80, and when I was 40, I already consumed 4,600 days. So I have only another 4,600 days before I die, and today I have 14,600 days, right? And now I have 4,572 days, 70 days today. So in this case, how can I be useful now that the purpose of making money is to be free for money, right? You don't want to be trapped inside the money game, the rat race, and be stressed, and eventually have a lot of money, but you have a lot of illness and in your body, right? So I was looking for something meaningful to do. So at first I volunteered with SOS, the Samaritan of Singapore, distress phone call. I got training. And then I joined the Heritage Board to restore old houses. But those are not scalable. So when Goh Chok Tong say we have to clean up public toilet, and again he blamed the people. He said you have to measure the graciousness. Then I thought, hey, this is not just the user's fault, it's also the cleaner, and it's also the design, the layout. If you have the wash basin here and the hand dryer over there, then people will start flicking their hand on the floor and wipe on their pants, and then the footstep will bring the dirt all over the wet floor, right?
Yeah.
So I started the Restroom Association, and then Singaporean says, oh, somebody ought to have started this long ago. So there was a lot of encouragement. It went on the front page of both Straits Times and 联合早报. Then I think, hey, this is good. Then I start to think, is there other toilet association around the world? Then I went to Japan and I met 15 others in a world meeting. And so I said, is there any headquarter? They said, no. And the Japanese say, you don't look at us. We don't speak English. So everybody says, Jack, why don't you go and do? So I started the World Toilet Organization.
Oh, so that meeting of 15 people, you said they were all kind of founders of their own restroom associations in their own countries.
Yeah, in the UK, in America, in Australia, in Korea.
But what was happening in Japan that they all happened to be there at the same time?
They found all these people.
So
then I found them. Then they say, since you are here, might as well you meet. So I went to meet them. So after that, I created the World Toilet Organization and never expect it to grow so large. Eventually, we created the United Nations World Toilet Day, which is the first time Singapore ever tabled a UN resolution all by ourselves. Prior to that, we always go and pull other country to table itself. But at this time, we got unanimous approval 193 countries of the General Assembly at the UN approved us. So I think it was a very big legacy because now every country is improving their toilet using this 19 November World Toilet Day. So Singapore is contribution to the world on toilet is something I hope people can be proud of. Yeah, but it does actually create a lot of impact. For example, in Brazil, we actually, if you look at me, I'm just an ordinary Singaporean with no authority and no blessing, right? But when we went to Brazil, 50% of all their sewage are not treated. That means every time they flush the toilet, it goes to the drain. Then it goes to a river, then you get polluted. In the drain, it's already very smelly for the favelas, which is the slums. And so what to do? They don't have money to invest in their sewage treatment plant. So I work with the NGO in Brazil called Trata Brazil. And I said, let's go to the Senate and have a hearing and lobby for a law to be passed to privatize sewage treatment plant. And I went there and I spoke in English, got translated into Portuguese, and I convinced out of 79 senators, I got 65 votes, yes. And they changed the law. And in the last 4 years, privatization of sewage treatment plant attracted $14 billion investment into Brazil, including Singapore GIC is one of the investors. So there's a kind of impact that a world body like World Toilet Organization has on other countries. And in China, all the toilet clean. In India, 110 million toilet. In Brazil, $14 billion. In Nigeria, we are working with 36 states governor to create an open defecation-free Nigeria. And we can go on many countries. We have 19 World Toilet Summit so far. All funded by the country's government.
So how is the organization organized? Like
it's a charity.
It's a charity. But like how many people like volunteers? How many full, like what's the org structure like?
The whole World Toilet Organization employ 3 staff. 3 staff. 1 in Singapore, 1 in Dubai, and 1 in Bangalore. And at this time, I'm 67, so we have to look for a succession. And a donor is coming forward to support the employment of an executive director and business development manager. So I think if we have these 2 persons, we could grow and I can hand over.
I see.
So what I will do is after that, I will continue to be the storyteller and there's a next generation. I think that will be a great legacy.
So in terms of, I mean, you came from a life of like running multiple businesses, private sector and everything. And then now you've gone into, the UN and you're talking to governments, all that. Isn't there a very big difference between those 2 worlds, private sector and, navigating political tensions between countries and all that?
Yeah, my job is to do things that I don't know. So I'm an expert in things that I don't know how to do. So that's called entrepreneurship. That's why I wrote this book called The Gumption of Mr. Toilet, right? Because the idea is to, and it's now available in Kinokuniya and Amazon.com. So the purpose is to teach people that you actually can do anything you want to do if you have the spirit of enterprise. For example, when I heard that bricks prices was rising, in 1986, there was a shortage of bricks in the construction industry. I don't know how to manufacture bricks, but because I saw that there's a shortage, I assembled the technologies and the landowner in Malaysia, and then we borrow money from the bank and we built the biggest bricks factory in Malaysia. It's called May Bricks and in Sedernak. And it was a very profitable business. And I don't have to operate it, It's a leverage model. You just assemble and you get others people to do. So the takeaway is that you can achieve anything as long as you can get others to do it.
But I mean, just to follow on that, like the halls of the UN and everything, it's a lot of politicking and convincing people behind the door discussions and things like that. How was it difficult transitioning from the world of business where it's really just you just be the first to do it and do it and hire people, whereas on the other side, public sector, you're required to have long conversations, sit down with ministers and all.
So the UN nature is that they are very slow and they are not very effective, but they have big legitimacy. So if you were to partner with the UN, you do all the work. And then when you are successful, you say we did it together. And then they're very happy, right? That's the UN model. In terms of the bureaucrats in any country, you look for the one who can benefit from the success of this project because they also want to shine in the eye of the politician. So you go to the politician first and you help them become popular. If they use toilet as a vote winner, we don't care whether the person is a good person or bad person. We say, if a politician is 90% corrupt, use the last 10% of goodness in him. So we just say, whoever likes to improve sanitation, we are your friend. And then we go with them. So once the politician understand the incentive, then the bureaucrats have to follow. Then you have to check if the bureaucrat is capable or incompetent. If he's incompetent, you have to request for a change. Because if you get stuck with somebody who can't do anything, it's a waste of time, right? So I think that you have to be very diplomatic, talking to different people. In Singapore, I don't look like I'm very diplomatic, but internationally, I'm actually a toilet diplomat.
So from hearing what you say, that's almost like something you have realized. You frame it like what you said to allow the person you're trying to convince about the benefits of this, and then you walk down the chain. But just hearing that you went to Brazil, you saw the situation in favelas, you worked with this NGO to go to their Senate and talk. Is there a bit of like crazy optimism, or do you still have some uncertainty, some like worry that, is this not going to pan out? Or for you, it's like, you know what, I'll just try. If I fail, nothing, and nothing kind of like
there's nothing to lose. I want nothing, so I have nothing to lose. So the first thing is that I go to the biggest media company, Globosat and Globo TV. That is like 95% of Brazilian watch their television and satellite show, right? Then we become very good friends with Globosat and Globo TV. That creates a lot of clout for me to talk to the politician because these men come with media coverage, right? And then I explained to them in the Senate hearing in a very frank way, because they already know toilet pollution in the river, the beaches, you lost tourism income, people are sick, cannot be productive, women lost their privacy, all these things they know. So I don't have to explain to them. All I did in that hearing was to explain to them that the people that are against this bill are the sewage treatment plant union and their workers. These are several thousand people. They are going to be against you. Please be prepared to lose all these votes, because the favelas votes are into millions and millions of them. And you should lose the thousands of votes to go to the tens of millions. And you are a smart politician, and this is good for the people, and this is good for you. Why don't we do this? And that triggered everything. So You know, when you design the narrative, it has always got to be a benefit.
Yeah. But even just now you said when you go to the media stations, like how does one go to the biggest media station in Brazil?
You get invited.
How you get invited?
I miss the toilet. I mean, if I want to tell a story, they will let me in. Like BBC gave me like 43 minutes.
So that sort of
World
branding,
service broadcast,
So that, I guess, is the benefit of setting up like a world toilet organization. Legitimacy.
I mean, it's already out there. Every media in the world knows. So if I go to BBC, I reach 172 million audience worldwide, and they listen to me podcast 43 minutes. I mean, how much is, like, usually you go to BBC, you get 5 minutes. You're very happy, right? So that's the kind of clout that we bring along. And the Singapore Foreign Affairs Ministry don't know how to use this soft power. They're always doing the business thing. But I think this is something very useful, like ping pong diplomacy, that type of
So you think it is underutilized as a diplomatic tool?
Yeah, but I don't care. I'm already 67 years old, so
Sure.
I just do my own thing, and the world roll out red carpet. Like this year, I'm going to the UN headquarters, and we will have all the countries talking about toilet inside the UN building itself.
In November?
For that, I get the support of the Singapore Permanent Mission to the UN. The ambassador is very friendly, and so we'll do a good event there.
When you speak, I hear a hint of frustration coming up against bureaucracy, right? And I mean, in Singapore, we've seen instances where it's actually like manifested in, like, say, the zebra crossing outside your home and things like that. Hey, I mean, like what drives you to
Wait, can you give the context of that?
Because our audience, maybe not all of them know about the zebra crossing incident, but maybe you can just give us a summary of what it was and how it even got to a point where you're coming up against bureaucracy about this.
So basically, I'm like a naughty boy, right? So I've been punished throughout. So I felt I'm a naughty boy, so I got to do naughty things, and the idea was to create. So I created a zebra crossing outside my house that looked like a zebra stripe. So I go and photograph the zebra body, and then I extract a certain stripes. Then I go to Bras Basah Road and buy these white stickers. Then I cut and start to paste this zebra crossing across my road. And
this is the road right in front of your house?
In front of my house.
Residential area.
Mayor Road. So I then call the media immediately, right? And I say, here is my offer. This is not graffiti. This is actually a model of the future zebra crossing of Singapore. And I'm submitting this proposal to the LTA. So in this case, I'm not doing a vandalism. I'm showing a model of a new zebra crossing design.
New design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because why? First, the current design is wrong because it's straight line and it's not zebra. Nobody see it as a zebra, but when they see my design, it is zebra, right? So that is like to get the design right. Secondly, we will be attracting a lot of tourism, selfie, Instagram, and this will promote Singapore and put us on the world map, and free advertisement,
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be great? And then the third thing is that it will also open up Singaporean creativity so that they will think of other things, In fact, I also painted a giraffe on the lamppost, which the government eventually painted back and don't even talk to me.
This was the lamppost out of your house?
Also outside my house. But the good thing is that they never fine me and they never put me in the jail. They didn't give me a corrective work order like, sticker lady. I don't mind if they ask me to sweep the floor for 48 hours, I can do that. I am ready. So the issue is, then the LTA wrote back to say, I expected it, right? It's an offense to put a traffic sign where there isn't any, and please remove it. So I remove it, and I went to the press to say, see, they say I have to remove it, so I remove it. So what I do is I make a statement. There are other things that I did. I built sculpture on Fort Road of concrete, and because there's a fort buried in Katong Park, and I discovered the fort, but the government didn't want to resurrect it, so I put 2 statues, red color, very prominent, guarding the fort, and left it there, and now it become a permanent monument, and instead of illegal, it become legal.
Wait, so that is yours? The one at Fort Canning Park? No, the
Fort
Katong
Road.
Fort Road, that small park area, is it?
Yeah. There's 2 statue, red color.
That's yours?
Soldier, I built it.
Because I also found out only a few years ago there's an actual fort there. Like Fort Road is called Fort Road because there's a fort.
Yeah. I discovered the fort, and now the NPark says they will build a cafe there to tell people there's a fort and MRT station and the cafe.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, once the MRT station is finished, we'll build it. I got Lim Biao Chuan, the MP, to talk to them, and everything was okay. Now they're keeping quiet. Latest I found, I think that guy who said okay left and park. So I will keep on chasing. From 1992 until now is how many years? It's
32 years.
32 years. I have to follow a project for 32 years to make it happen, for free, So do I love my country? Of course, I love Singapore very much. But I look like a bad person because I keep on demanding them to do things. So outside my house, I also built a Albert Einstein statue seated next to Mr. Mayor to commemorate Albert Einstein coming to Singapore 2 times in the history. People don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I built it out of steel, and it's illegal, and it's sitting there for now 25 years, and nobody removed it. So I felt that pushing the envelope is important, and having curiosity, courage, compassion, commitment, all these risk-taking things are important.
So do you think Singapore pushes the envelope, or Singaporeans push the envelope enough?
No, I think that's a big worry about our educational system. It's all rote learning, and all these young people work so hard, tuition and study and get their certificate, and later on it's of no value because rote learning means robotic. The AI will take over all the things that are routine, robotic, and then your ability to do analytics is also robotic. But your ability to think in chaos manner, creativity, entrepreneurship, those human values, like questioning, imagining a new vision, those things the school don't teach you. And those are the things that the robot cannot do. So in reality, in the age of agentic AI, right, everything will be the anti-jobs, And you are going to the job market behaving like a robot. Of course, they don't need you. So you have to build your character to be a good human being. So I wrote one article in the Straits Times called The 7 C's to Survive the Anti-Job Future. And that is 2016 because I got educated in technology when I was in Singularity University in NASA at Silicon Valley. And they gave me a 10 weeks scholarship. Only tech people can study that class, 80 students, all scholarship. Everyone is a tech person. Then I say I qualify because if you got all tech people and no business people, then who is going to do the implementation? And then they say, you better come and join the class. So you see, framing narrative, you get a scholarship, right? So what happened is that after learning that all this tech is coming in 2016, now is 8 years later, right? And it's happening. So I think you need curiosity to ask questions. Singaporeans don't ask questions. They just obey. Cannot. To ask questions, you need courage to make a fool of yourself, to imagine things. And then you need compassion. You need to develop the love that you have, because the love is service. You have to think about how you can make the world better, how can make things better. And when you make things better, you can also earn money. And then you have to think about collaboration. You can't work alone. You have to think about ecosystem. And then you have to think about commitment. That means you never give up, because you're going to meet a lot of difficulty, a lot of objection, a lot of rejection, and you don't have enough resource. You always have to try to adjust for it. Then you need to think about community, how to mobilize all the community to go together. Then you need to be calm. You cannot get upset, emotional and all that. So all these skills, the school don't want to teach you. So I think we have to make this gumption a textbook and to teach the young people how to survive and how to be a really useful human being in the age of AI algorithms.
But I mean, listening to what you're saying, I agree with a lot of the things that you say about Singaporean education system. But I can imagine someone from MOE or something who hears what you're saying and says, yeah, we're already trying to do that in schools. We're already trying to, get students to ask more questions and be curious. What would you, like, let's say you could become, tomorrow you are Minister of Education. Like, what would you implement to really make these changes, like the 7 C's you're saying?
I spoke to the Director General of Education at MOE. She completely understands this. Her difficulty is how to train the principals and the teachers who are not entrepreneurs. Right? The entrepreneurs all go and do business, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs don't become teachers, right? So you have to completely reinvent things, and then the directors, not just her, but all the other directors, they also have to think this way. And what I understand is that the Minister of Education also think this way, but to get everyone to think this way is very difficult. And on top of that, they are always worried about the parents because, it's very easy for rote learning. You can mark in a yardstick that is equal and fair. Now, if you go into qualitative situation, how do you mark? Maybe you don't need to mark. Maybe you should empower and you should help them. And then maybe they all graduate with a business. I think that could be something or a project. I think that is something we have to go into deep thinking because AI is here. And the self-driving car is coming, and I've already taken taxi in San Francisco and in Phoenix in America. And there was no driver. I'm just sitting next to a turning steering wheel. And it's like so funny. You go to my Facebook, you can see it. And in Wuhan, they already started it in China. So definitely within 5 years, all your Grab drivers are gone. All your delivery guy, Deliveroo and all that, the drones are going to take over. All the call center in Philippines, India, they are all going to be gone because this AI call center. And then even forklift driver, they were all gone. So the jobs will be gone. That's for sure. And how are you? And also the doctors, the general practitioner will be gone, because you don't really need somebody to tell you what to do. The AI can tell you and diagnose you. And eventually the toilet is going to do predictive diagnostics. So your download of your urine and your poop is going to give sample, non-invasive sampling, and to be able to predict and prevent illness. And
smart toilet.
And so all these things, technology are facilitating a high-speed change. And if the Singaporeans, and I'm not talking about just Singaporean, the whole world also have the same problem, but I mean, we talk about our country and we have to solve it here, right? First, right? At least we make our own people safe, right? Then we have to prepare our people to harness technology and be the master rather than the replaced by them. We don't want to be replaced by technology. We want to be the boss of technology. And that is the transition we have to do from kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and tertiary. And to date, there is no real school that are going this direction. If you go to Harvard, it's still the old method. And coming back to your question about if you go to the MOE website, you will see 21st century education, a very nice PowerPoint. They didn't implement it. It is just for show. They didn't do it. So this character building and all that, they didn't do it. So we have to do it. If you go to the website and we actually do what it says, I think that should be all right. That means they got it right, but they didn't do it. So I gave a talk to RGS teacher during one of the July holiday, and they all got shocked. The teacher told the principal, how? We don't even know how to teach in this new way. What am I going to do? And there was no new teacher training for this curriculum. So we have to start now.
So do you think that the almost low amount of people questioning things or people trying to push the envelope is also a byproduct of progress? Because sounds like your life growing up. I think in your book you mentioned that you grew up in not the most, how you say like
the straight line,
communal toilets and
communal toilets and all. But and this is something we've asked other guests also. Like there's all this talk about wanting to change things and all. But I was born in the 80s, so I grew up already, the MRT was just coming in. And when I used to complain, my dad used to tell me, you shut up, you never saw what Singapore was. So I already grew up with MRT there. And every decade, you grow up with more of these resources. Do you think that contributes to people being a little more like, okay, why do we need to innovate? Things are okay.
Yeah, I mean, bad life leads to good life. Good life leads to bad life, right? So when bad life happen, you start to become very creative. You need to survive. Your brain start working, and when you have good life, then your brain stop working, right? So this is always historic cycle, but we should reinvent this cycle. The government always say the paranoid win, right? But I don't think we need to be paranoid. We need to be calm and understand what's coming, and we need to develop the human skill for it. And technology is very neutral. A bad person can use technology, evil person can use technology, a compassionate, kind person can use technology, and they will use it differently. What you need to do is to understand that you don't need to be techie to use technology, because the tech guys will ask you, what is it that you want to do? And I will develop the technology for you. It's not ready-made. But you have to imagine to say, let's say I say, the future of Singapore will be that small, medium enterprise right now, they're suffering a lot. GLC, they are stronger, they've got all the resources. And then multinational, they also got all the resources. So what if we have small, medium enterprise, multinational, GLC, all plugged into an ecosystem where everyone share resources, such that if you are in Singapore, you enter into a plug-and-play ecosystem where whatever you want to do will be facilitated in the most ubiquitous manner. That means you are fully connected. So when you talk about that with Enterprise Singapore, they might say, we're already doing that. No, they're like scratching the 0.5% of the surface, because when you have agentic AI and everything is connected, then the access to resources, to knowledge, to business model, to financing, to investment can be so much faster. Right now, they're asking people to do startup. They've lost so many billions of dollars with stupid ideas, right? Out of the startup, one succeed in 100 and then say, don't worry, that one will pay back for all 100. But why should you have such a big attrition rate? You should be able to facilitate so that the attrition rate will be lower. Maybe 50% is actually good, right? So that kind of thinking needs to be audacious. And you have to imagine that new realm that you cannot do this in Malaysia or Thailand or Indonesia. You can only plug into the ecosystem here. And that was how Silicon Valley ecosystem worked. But it's still that type of Silicon Valley ecosystem is already not good enough. So with this AI system that is facilitating this, I think we can reinvent the next level.
So you're saying that Singapore, we have a lot of big GLCs that are, have resources and successful, and they should be opening up.
Bring us along.
And bring SMEs
I mean, if they
along.
go overseas, why don't they bring all the SME along?
Yeah.
They say, no, we'll just go and employ those local guys and keep the small, medium enterprises out. If the small, medium enterprises cannot survive, then what will happen is that they employ the most people. So I think that the jobs will be gone again. So I think the government over so many years have been giving money for consultancy, and the main beneficiary are the consultant. The SME doesn't get real goodness out of it. In fact, a lot of Enterprise Singapore officer, they retire early to be consultant. So this system is no good. It's no good.
So have you ever thought about joining the politics or civil service?
No.
Why not change from the inside,
Yeah.
Be the change that you want to see.
And you know how to navigate the halls of politics.
Right? I went to Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy to study, and I got a master's degree when I was 56 years old, and I understand how government work, and I understand the ploys of the bureaucrats and the politicians, and how bureaucrats have to have a high degree of safety and work avoidance and all that. I fully understand all those things now. And before I go to the school, I was very angry with them. I was like, every time I tell you an idea, you don't accept, is it because prophets are not welcome at home and you get all this anger? And in fact, one time I applied for PR and get the whole family to move to Australia, and I got the PR, but just before going, I was thought like, why must I go and live in other people's country when just because my government don't listen to me, right?
Oh, you were that angry. You wanted to leave.
Yeah, very angry. I'm sure tons of Singaporean are very angry. And you ask people, they also want to leave. But actually, you don't have to leave, right? You have to talk to the government. And how do you talk to the government? So I went to go to Lee Kuan Yew School, and I realized that I created this 4 jacks theory, If you have a good idea, you go to the government, the default is reject. That means, why do they reject? Because when they reject, they don't have to do extra work, right?
Yeah.
Already so busy, this stupid guy come with a crazy idea and to listen to him, so you reject. That's called work avoidance, right? Then if you insist, they will eject. They'll say, it's not my department. Maybe you should try the other guy, and they send you running around. Then you go run around and then your battery go flat, right? And then if you come back to him to say, no, everybody say this is the department, then he will practice the 3rd jack called the deject, right? Oh, don't call us, we'll call you. Let me consider. I can't tell you yes, but I'm not saying no. So they waste your time, right? So by this time, you get very angry and you want to vote for the opposition and all this. Also no use, right? So the reality is that you have to go to the higher up. And the politician or the higher up, once they like your idea, so what will this bureaucrat do? He'll activate the fourth jack called hijack, right?
Oh, I thought project.
No, he will hijack your idea and say, yeah, all the time I was supporting this idea. That was my idea. So, since this process is so laborious, why don't I go directly to the higher up and get them to instruct the middle management guy to hijack it? And if you want the thing to happen, let people hijack lah. It need not be your idea.
So was that like your master's thesis or something?
That's what I discovered studying in the Lee Kuan Yew school. So I don't get angry with them. I just get them to hijack my ideas. And a lot of time you have to navigate that who is competent enough to actually implement it. Otherwise it will also disappear. So it's a lot of dedication, and most people don't have the time. They're so busy doing their work and all that. But I'm a kepo, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a retiree. I have time. So the understanding of bureaucrats in Singapore, politicians, then I also understand how other countries work. But other countries easier to work.
Oh, really?
Easier. Much. Singapore is the most difficult country for me to work.
Oh, really?
It's the hardest and the biggest headache because you are a Singaporean. Don't talk to me, Singaporean. I don't believe you. If you're Ang Mo, okay lah, talk to me. So I would say that if I go overseas, I'm a foreigner. So since Singaporean government respect the foreigner thoughts so much, then I better be a foreigner lah. So I go to other country and I get a lot of respect out there.
But I mean, to that question, then wouldn't it make sense for you to enter the political system and become that person of influence that can make the bureaucrats do things?
Some time ago, a minister asked me, and I said no. And he said, why no? I said, because if I join politics, you won't let me speak freely, right? They said, no, nonsense. All our member of parliament can speak freely. I said, no, that's not true. Then he says, you're sure, right? So, second question, are you going to join the opposition? I said, of course, no lah. If I want to join politics, I join you because sure to win, right? So, I won't join opposition. So he said, you are sure, right? I said, promise. Oh, thank you very much. End of interview. So I think that why, because as a free person, because life, you only want freedom. So freedom of expression is also important because I don't come with malicious thought, right? I care for my country, right? I challenge the system. What is that Tommy called loving critics, right? So I also offer solution, right? I do not just go out and say something and then, government, you should do it. No, we actually work through solutions. So for me, I think I don't care if they think I'm a good guy or bad guy. I think I'm a good guy. And that's more important than what they think.
Okay. So, I mean, in the foreword of your book, written by George Yeo, a politician himself and everything, he kind of, in paraphrasing, but I think he kind of says like, we do need more people like you, but at the same time, that we can't have everybody also be like you, right? Do you think like everybody in Singapore should be like you and push the boundaries and the envelope and question the rules and everything? Because how do we survive as a society if everyone is questioning and pushing the boundaries?
I think this statement of everyone being the same is impossible. I mean, two of you are not the same. You know each other every day and you know each other is not the same.
Yeah.
So you cannot try to be him, he cannot try to be you. So it's not possible.
Okay.
I think that opening up the dialogue with the intention of developing new solution for a better Singapore, that must be allowed. If you don't allow that, you lose resource. Right now. And then you say, what if everybody, don't talk about everybody. You have to filter, you have to selectively look out for the caring person who is also competent and most ideas are raw. and then you have to spend time to develop. A good example, when I saw the construction worker having to pay like $10,000-$15,000 to the mafia in Bangladesh to come and work here. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Then I talked to Desmond Lee and I say, this is no good. We got to change it. So Desmond Lee say, yeah, we know, but it's been like that for so long and the mafia problem is in Bangladesh, and how do you solve it in Singapore? By the time they come, it's already done. Then I say we got to solve it in Bangladesh, and we can work with BRAC, the biggest NGO in Bangladesh, and they are honest, and we can solve this problem. And so he said, you can solve it? Okay, you go and do it. I will get my guys from BCA to talk to you. But make sure you do it. So I say, I'll follow through. Took 6 years to talk to MOM, BCA, and then we now have a sandbox model, and we brought in the Bangladesh worker directly, and the money reduced to now around $2,700 for etiquette, training, certification, everything. So it's possible to cut, more than $10,000 off this mafia a racket, So I think to do something like that, you can't use a consultant. 3 months, they jabot already. You can't use an academic. You have to partner, and then we went to Partner Asia Philanthropy Circle, and they offer a coordinator. And it takes a lot of time. Very hard work. They also work very hard. So these are the kind of thing that we assemble solution. We don't know that we can succeed, but we want to succeed. That means we can succeed. So the next thing right now I want to do is that because there's a lot of low birth rate, right? So we need foreign citizens, PR. So we want to move from 6 million to 6.97 million population. So we need psychological defense. We need unity, we need harmony, and Lawrence Wong talk about how dangerous it is that we take for granted all this racial harmony, religious harmony, right? And when you add more and more nationality and culture, even Northern Chinese and Southern Chinese are different people, So then you need something to glue them. So I thought Singapore don't have a national dress. The last one was tried by Ong Peng Chong, but it looks a bit not accepted. That orchid thing, right? So I want to run the contest. So I got Raffles Design Institute to volunteer to be the secretariat. I went to MCCY to ask them to give a grant of 20,000 for the prize money. Then I'm going to invite all the design school to join the contest, and hopefully we create a print that contains the DNA of Singapore batik. If you go to Indonesia, you see the batik. Sulawesi batik, Javanese batik, Jogja, Madura, all different. All different. So the Indonesian, when they see that batik, that came from Medan. That came from wherever. Singapore definitely need to have our own design language, which means that design language collect the alphabets of the design, just like ABCD. We got to design alphabets and then create this as a depository so that every future designer can continuously design Singapore batik. And when people see that batik, they say, that's a Singapore batik. Right now, the only one that they say that's a Singapore batik is the Singapore Airline Girl uniform. But you see, it's possible, right? So I think if we, let's say 2006, National Day, parade, all the politicians, all the participants wear this national dress, I think that is a big success.
But then won't we look like North Korea or something?
No, you won't look like North Korea. Actually, I just been to the DMZ.
Oh, is it?
3 weeks ago. Yeah. So,
no, but because the national dress, I guess, because like there is like racial harmony day and all, right? You wear each other's ethnic costumes, but it's debatable how effective it is at actually resulting in racial tolerance and racial harmony. So would a national dress be something that is just a bit superficial?
It must not be superficial. If you go and put a Malayan of it, it will be superficial. It will be called kitsch. That's superficial. It has to go into the DNA of people that when they see it, they feel that is me. That is me. And to arrive at that design, of course, you cannot think about money first. You have to think about soul, right? And that's why I tell you about collecting the design alphabets of Singaporean icon. You see, when you have a hibiscus drawn in different part of Indonesia, it look different. And drawn in Malaysia look different. Can it be drawn in Singapore and look Singapore style? You know what I mean? So each of the flora, fauna, our hawker food, I think we can definitely codify it and into a design language. Our HDB flat, our trees along the roads, these are so beautiful and we're all taken it for granted. The bougainvilleas and all that. I think these are our design DNA, not MBS or Merlion or super trees. No. What is very intimate to our daily life. Those are the design we have to capture. And how does it look like? I don't have an idea. Because do you know that the Malayan was developed due to a design contest for the Singapore Tourism Board logo?
No.
Really?
And somebody, I think the Singapore Polytechnic lecturer or somebody like that, won the design. So then it became an icon, right? So I think a contest would come out with a very wide range of interpretation. And if people are willing to wear it and buy it, then that's the real test. You cannot enforce it like North Korea or even Ong Teng Cheong one. Everybody wear this. This is the design I've already prescribed to you. Then cannot. But if people actually found that, hey, this is me. This is our tribal clothes. Then we are successful. Actually, maybe it needs a few iterations.
Yeah. Actually, Uniqlo is really kind of like the national dress.
Yeah, I am quite heartened by what about what you're saying, Jack, about the idea that culture, building a culture, a Singaporean culture that is like a DNA that everyone, one look, it is Singaporean, but you might not be able to identify exactly why. I think that's so important in terms of getting people to feel this sense of identity and it will solve a lot of problems of belonging and all that.
We need things to hang on to, We are so disparate. Everything is like, Singapore is a place that can make a lot of money.
Passion made possible.
Do you know this? Passion made possible. I thought I'm passion made possible, right? And I went to Singapore Tourism Board and I said, hey, passion made possible, World Toilet Organization. They said, no. That is not what we are looking for. What we're looking for is the Old Chang Kee and the Mei Chen Hiong, the Bak Kwa and all that. I say, why limited like that? Why don't open up? Oh, no. We are very defined. So that's, you see what to do.
So then, because the reality is like, when I remember the first time I heard of you was actually way back when I somehow chanced upon the fact that the World Toilet Organization was founded by a Singaporean. And then, the more you read the fact that we have a World Toilet Day that came out of that. So like what Terence mentioned, amongst the older generation, maybe they know, younger generation might not. But given the work that the WTO has done and given that, you seem someone who is very passionate and really wants to change. Do you feel underappreciated by Singapore?
You see, I don't look for appreciation. I look for opportunity to be useful. And if they don't use us, then they waste the opportunity. Then I still don't stop there. I go and help other countries. I go and help China And it was very successful, and they appreciate me. And I'm very good friend with a lot of Chinese officials. I went to India. I'm very good friend with the Indian government. I'm also very good friend with all the Swamis, because they are now Hindu driven, and I'm very good friend with them. Then I went to Bangladesh. I'm very good friend with the Muslims. So I even give a talk at the Vatican about toilet, and the Monsignor say that this is the first time this word is uttered in this room. Which is shit lah. I say shit in the Vatican, which is like very wrong. So I think that to be free to go anywhere, to influence any government, this is very, very interesting. And another dream is how to turn, because I've got a building down the road, right? SDG Center. I built a 65,000 square foot industrial building next to the OB MRT station. I wanted Singapore to be the World Trade Center for the poor. There are 4 billion poor people in the world that we should unlock, just like we unlock Singapore poverty into wealth, right? And China copied Singapore model and lifted 800 million people out of poverty. Lee Kuan Yew was their consultant, right? And Rwanda called themselves the Singapore of Africa, and they became the fastest growing African state until recently. The Niger, after the military coup, actually became the fastest growing. So a lot of people are copying Singapore model. Why don't we let them copy and codify how to turn a country from poverty to wealth through the journey we have? We have the stories, we have the legitimacy, we have the public policy. We clean up Singapore River, we clean up toilet, clean up street, clean up corruption, clean up gangsterism. And these are all the solutions that we can convert into business environment. So I think this is again the next dream. As you can see, I'm very greedy, right? I want to do so many different things, and I do them simultaneously. And I don't have staff. I've got World Toilet Organization, 3 people. I created another NGO called the BOP Hub, Base of Pyramid Hub. And I think the shorter my life gets, the more I want to do faster and bigger.
I see. Wow.
And that's why you said before we started that you don't really watch TV or anything because you don't waste time.
Cannot lah.
Cannot.
You see, life is made up of minutes and hours and days. When time runs out, life runs out. Then you're a dead person. I also don't have a religion, so I don't go to heaven or hell lah. I'm just dead lah, right? So the only usefulness is when I'm alive. And if I'm alive, I better be useful. If I'm not useful, I'm useless.
I see. So I know in your book, it covers a lot of this. I mean, we'll put a link in the show notes for people to find it. I think anyone listening, it's available in Kinokuniya right now, Amazon, Singapore Amazon. It will be rolled out, you said, into other
worldwide.
Worldwide. Any idea when?
Next month, I think all the distribution links will be out.
So by September.
But your audience mostly here, right? So
and Singaporeans around the world.
Then they can buy it. It has got 88 chapters, which are very short, right? You read it, 3 pages, 2 pages, 4 pages. And each of these 88 chapters is a life hacks, including how to live a romantic life with your wife and how to grow up decent children and how to solve mother-in-law problem between the wife and the mother. And I mean, there's a lot of life hacks, not just doing business and doing social work.
I like how at the end of every chapter there's a lesson and then you just summarize the lesson.
and that's why I want to convert this into a school textbook in Singapore, because we are lacking that type of lessons and I want to use it.
I see. Awesome.
That's awesome. But thank you so much for sharing. Now we have the final segment, which is the one Shiok Thing segment, which you still have about 2 minutes to think about because Terence and I will go first. So if you have something that can be shared with our audience via a link that we can put in the description, that would be awesome. So we will go first. Terence, you have yours?
Yeah, I do. And mine is actually, there's a very interesting Kentucky State Fair, I believe, in the US. They have this competition where people build miniature sets, and then after that they get judged by some judges lah. So so in recent years there's been like a lot of interesting miniature sets that people have created. Say for example, they created the set of the comedy show Frasier. They created it as a miniature set so that you can go and look at it and see it up close, these miniature models. But in the recent Kentucky State Fair, there was one particular display that won, I think it won second or third prize, but then I think within the day they rescinded the prize because this creator, he built a set of a casting couch display. So I mean, I think if you know, lah, right? It's basically that casting couch set that you see in a lot of those casting couch videos.
Yes.
And they built those miniatures of it with even a video camera and a television there with showing it. So it's quite interesting because the news is covering it as like, oh, why did his prize get rescinded? And then the creator is like, well, I'm here to create conversation and to create things that get people talking lah. And so he's kind of happy that his prize got rescinded lah. So I thought it's just an interesting way of creative people pushing the boundaries of art and then getting a lot of conversations such that us here in Singapore even hear about it lah.
After Jack spent so much time talking about building being useful, that's your
What's your thing? The casting couch.
casting couch.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Me Too movement, right?
Yeah, correct. My one Shiok Thing is a Wired article that I came across, and it is an interview with Meredith Whittaker. Do any of you know who that person is? So she's the current president of Signal. You all know Signal?
The Telegram competitor, right?
No, it's actually Signal is and like kind of like a software that was developed in some way as a FU to privacy. As a to protect privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, the history of Signal also is quite interesting. It was started by these maverick coders who just wanted to kind of go the opposite way to what big tech was doing, which is selling people's information. So she's the current president, and the article is damn interesting because she talks about how Signal right now, which has a team of 30-40 people, still runs as a non-profit. Their encryption software is what WhatsApp uses to encrypt. But she's very vocal in saying that all these big tech companies, when they talk about, privacy and encryption is a priority, it is not. And Signal is growing faster than ever because it is a messenger app on its own. But she says they always get the biggest spikes when there's political instability. So now Ukraine has seen a huge spike in Signal because it is completely encrypted. It is not for profit, because she said the moment profit comes in, then you go down the same path.
Yeah.
So what she talks about is very interesting because she said the bigger that big tech gets, the bigger the demand for something like Signal, and that's the way it's trending. And she's saying that people are a lot more aware now of what their data is being used for, and they are trying their best to be the counter to big tech. She was the one who organized the Google walkouts a few years ago against the Project Maven, which was a technology that was allowing the US government to differentiate people and items in drones.
Oh,
which
so
was used.
It's not the sexual harassment one.
It was also the payout to Andy Rubin.
Oh, yeah.
So she was the person who led it because she used to work at Google.
I see.
And she was doing very well, but it's interesting to see how she was fighting against the system and fighting for what she believed in. In some way, like what you're doing, Jack. So that was a really good article. It's a long article, but yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
so,
over to you, Jack.
So over the last 2 years, I received 2 honorary doctorate from Strathclyde University and another one in India called Shobit University. Then I saw that Ivan Heng from Wild Rice also got a doctorate, this time from for drama stage, right?
Sure.
So I wrote to him and I say, hey, why don't we make this book into a stage musical, right? And to Mr. Toilet, the stage show. And then he replied, let's meet in September. So I'm waiting for the appointment. And I like stage very much because I think that it's an opportunity to, if possible, create a permanent show that, like, you go to Times Square and Broadway and you keep on watching that thing, like Cats, Miss Saigon and all that, not coming for a few days, but continuously, right? And I think it can be like, if tourists come to Singapore, go watch Mr. Toilet, the musical. That will be
so if you
another dream.
If you could recommend one musical, like your favorite musical of all time, what would it be?
It's called Urine Town.
Urine Town
came to Singapore.
Yeah.
So Urine Town is about a story that about capitalism. They close down all the toilet and you can only go to the toilet of this company and you have to pay. And if you can't pay, they will send you to Urine Town, which later on is discovered as a cliff where you push the people down and kill them. So it's a very comical story, but very morbid. And I think I watched it in London, I watched it in New York, I watched it in Singapore, and Singapore one was the best.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
okay,
nice.
Urine Town.
I think Andrew Marco wasn't it, if I'm not wrong?
Oh,
yeah, I think so. The actor.
Who's the
Andrew Marco, was it?
No. The guy with all the
tattoos.
Singaporean guy.
Tattoos.
What was his company?
Adrian Pang.
Adrian Pang. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think Andrew Marco was probably
I believe so. I remember something like that.
But cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Jack. We'll put a link to your book in the description. And anywhere else people can find you, like what's the website you would want to point them to?
You can go to my Facebook and find me and talk to me, or go to LinkedIn. In these two places, I don't do
Instagram,
Twitter, Instagram, like the old man,
We connected when you messaged me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I reply everybody.
Okay.
I'm like
awesome.
always free. I don't know why.
But yeah,
awesome.
The more work you get done, the freer you are. It's very funny. I still couldn't figure it out. The more you do, the more time you have. Because you kind of get rid of the time waster.
I see. Wow.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming by our Yellowbutt studio.
Yeah, and hope everyone enjoyed the episode. Remember to share this if you know someone might enjoy it, and we'll talk to you all soon.